The Earth is littered with the remnants of ancient ambition. Across the globe, sprawling cities and monumental structures that once housed thousands have been entirely swallowed by the landscapes they tried to tame. Centuries of aggressive vegetation have rendered these places invisible. In the dense Colombian jungle, the terraces of Tayuna sat undisturbed by outsiders for 1,300 years, hidden beneath thick canopy. Halfway across the world in Sri Lanka, the palace of Sigiriya rested high atop an imposing granite rock, shielded by miles of forest. For generations, these massive settlements survived solely in the memories of the local populations. Reaching these isolated sites required enduring hostile environments. Early explorers hacked their way through humid, insect-swarmed vegetation on foot for days, navigating vertical inclines and dangerous terrain just to find a handful of carved stones. Nature does not willingly preserve the monuments we build. It actively reclaims its territory, wrapping roots around stone and pulling walls back into the soil. We are forced to fight the elements simply to reclaim our own history. In southeastern Turkey, the sites of Göbekli Tepe and Karahan Tepe contain elaborate stone complexes. They are estimated to be around 12,000 years old, meaning they were built thousands of years before the first stones were laid for the Egyptian pyramids. This timeline illustrates the conflict with conventional archaeological theories. The standard model assumes that humans from this era were nomadic hunter-gatherers, moving constantly in search of food and lacking the resources or social structure to construct complex architecture. Yet these sites feature massive, perfectly carved stone pillars, decorated with intricate animal reliefs. Shaping and raising these megaliths required specialized craftsmanship and hundreds of laborers working in unison, pushing the evidence of organized human society thousands of years further back than previously thought. These discoveries demonstrate that human civilization does not follow a strict, linear path of continuous progress. Instead, societies can achieve high levels of sophistication, experience a golden age, and then collapse entirely, leaving their greatest works to be buried in the dirt. In the harsh canyons of Jordan, the Nabatean kingdom took a different approach to their environment. Rather than building structures on top of the desert, they carved their capital, Petra, directly into the mountain faces. They transformed sheer, raw rock into precise columns and classical facades. Surviving here required intense logistical planning. The Nabateans engineered a complex water management system that captured rare rainfall and channeled it into reservoirs. This infrastructure turned an arid wasteland into a thriving metropolis capable of supporting extensive agricultural crops. Further east, the Persian Empire established Persepolis. As an administrative hub for multiple dynasties, the city's architecture deliberately integrated Assyrian, Egyptian, and Median design elements. Its massive standing gates and sprawling foundations projected the sheer reach and wealth of their civilization. These builder cultures commanded the geology around them, forcing unyielding mountain ranges and vast deserts to bear the permanent marks of human dominance. On the arid coastal plains of Peru, the Nazca culture created structures with a completely different objective. They scraped away topsoil to create sprawling geoglyphs. Because these lines stretch across vast tracts of land, their complete forms remained invisible from the ground, only becoming fully recognizable after the invention of aircraft. Despite working at massive scale, the creators maintained perfect proportions. The intricate geometry of this hummingbird, along with figures of spiders and condors, displays an exacting precision executed over hundreds of feet without the aid of an aerial perspective. The exact function of these lines is still debated. Curiously, the simple, enigmatic spiral shapes found scattered across the Nazca Desert also appear in petroglyphs hidden deep within the Amazon basin, thousands of miles away. These figures were never meant to be seen by the people who dug them. They were constructed as messages aimed at the sky, demonstrating a level of spiritual ambition that compelled entire communities to bypass their physical limitations. High in the Peruvian Andes, the Incas mastered some of the most unforgiving terrain on the planet. The fortress of Machu Picchu sits on a steep mountain ridge surrounded by precipitous drops. To support a population here, engineers carved agricultural terraces into the slopes to catch meltwater and rain, creating unique microclimates to grow crops in the clouds. In the jungles of Java, Indonesia, builders erected the largest Buddhist monument in the world. Borobudur is constructed as a massive, three-dimensional stone mandala. Its 9 stacked levels form a giant stepped pyramid, designed to physically represent the path to enlightenment. Atop one of the highest peaks in eastern Anatolia, King Antiochus I ordered the construction of colossal seated statues of himself and various deities. Today, their massive severed heads rest on the barren rock of Mount Nemrut. Whether clinging to the sheer cliffs of the Andes, breaking through the dense canopies of Southeast Asia, or sitting at the freezing summits of Turkey, these monuments share a common drive. The civilizations that built them were obsessed with pushing massive weights to extreme heights, elevating their legacies as close to the heavens as physically possible. No amount of engineering guarantees permanence. In 79 AD, the prosperous Roman city of Pompeii was buried under a thick layer of volcanic ash. The sudden eruption of Mount Vesuvius ended thousands of lives in an instant, yet that very same ash encased the city, freezing its architecture, artwork, and inhabitants in place for centuries. Other cities faded from the map and became fiction. For hundreds of years, Troy was considered a purely mythical setting of Homer's Iliad. It wasn't until the 1870s, when archaeologist Heinrich Schliemann excavated ruins on the Turkish coast, that physical evidence validated the existence of the once massive trade hub. Environmental disasters, shifting trade routes, and the steady march of time eventually conquer all empires. What were once loud, thriving centers of human existence routinely dissolve into fireside legends and fables, but those legends continue to pull us back. In 1922, after years of grueling excavation in Egypt's Valley of the Kings, Howard Carter breached a sealed doorway. With the strike of a single match, he illuminated the burial chamber of Tutankhamun, revealing a sarcophagus and golden treasures that had sat untouched for 3 millennia. Modern archaeological technology now reveals hundreds of undocumented structures resting silently beneath the dense vegetation of the Amazon and the sweeping forests of Cambodia. These ruins are the enduring voices of our ancestors, documenting their ingenuity, their beliefs, and their eventual fall. Continuing the meticulous work of unearthing them ensures that human history is never permanently surrendered to the earth.